Good morning, folks. Well, I'm here at Country Home Meats in Edmond, Oklahoma, and this is the butcher that I use. I got this steer here in the trailer. I spared you all well, I didn't film anything prior to this because it's been dark till right before I got here, and I was just driving. So anyway, I'm here and I'm waiting on one of the guys to come out and get started with this bad boy. I don't know how much they're gonna let me film. Probably none. Just, I don't know, liability issues. And I mean, this place is super clean, and it's just unfortunately, with a lot of people don't want to be videoed. They don't want their businesses videoed, and I don't blame them. You never know who could come down, and it may draw unwanted attention is all. So but I've been coming here for, I don't know, 10 years, and it's a great place. They're doing everything right, in my opinion. So like I mentioned maybe in another video, this is also a state inspected plant. And, well, I say plant, it's not really a plant. This place is, I'm shaking here. That's that steer in the trailer. It's amazing. He's moving the whole truck and trailer and everything. Anyway, I can see over here the state inspector is here, and just waiting on this place to open up. So before I show any video from even the little holding pens and stuff back here, I'm gonna make sure that I can do that. So not sure if I'll be able to or not. So anyway, stand by, and be back in a second. All right, folks, we got the steer unloaded and he's getting processed right now. But we're in a storage room in the back. This is where their boxes and labels and workbench here. And I wanted Robert to Robert years ago gave me a little lesson on how to properly sharpen a knife. Again, there's more than one way to do this, I'm sure, because everybody's got their little technique and style. But this was taught to me years ago, and I've always kind of thought about that. And if it's not something you're doing often, it's easy to forget. So this video is not only to show you guys, but it's a video I can go back and reference as well. So I'm gonna turn you around here, and we're gonna talk about what kind of stones this is and what we're doing here.
Hi, my name's Robert Knoll. I'm owner of Country Home Meats at Edmond, Oklahoma. Been in business here for quite some time. The facility's been here since probably the mid-60s. I've owned this plant since 2002. And like Jeff said, we're here to kind of give a demonstration on how to sharpen an old, very well-used knife, and we're going to do our best to sharpen it. Of course, there are a myriad of knife sharpening tools that are available. There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot that maybe some consider a waste of time. We are about a notch above the wheel. We use a three-sided stone. We have a very coarse aggregate stone, to a medium stone, to a fine stone, and that is the procedure that we'll go down with the knife, using the coarse stone first to get the bevel back on the knife. The bevel is, if you were to take a blade and stand it on edge, the bevel is how long the sharpening point is, the sharpen point on the knife is. Bevel meaning how pointed the blade is, or how long it is. The longer the knife will stay sharp for a period of time. The shorter the bevel, it will not stay sharp for very long. Basically what you're doing is you're putting what we call teeth into a blade, and I'm using my fingers to show that this would be a microscopic view, but enlarged, and I'm using my fingers. So when you drag a blade across the stone, you're creating these teeth and the bevel. And as you get the knife to a sharpen point, you want to get those teeth as lined up as possible as you can. And then we use what we call a maintenance steel. It's a very smooth steel, and we use that to bring those teeth to a straighter edge that makes it razor sharp. And that is what this type of steel is for. It's very smooth. It does have a few grooves in it, but it is not what you call a sharpening steel. So with that being said, we'll get on with sharpening the knife. Again, we're going to start with the rough side of the stone first. The trick or the procedure is you want to get that knife as flat as you can, but not touch the back of the knife. You want to only touch the blade side of the knife. And then it's just a drag across to the tip, always to the tip. And basically what you're doing is, if anybody's ever taken a piece of steel, let's say on a angle grinder or a bench grinder, and you run it till you get trying to make a knife edge, you're working that piece of steel down from a blunt edge to a point. And that's what we're doing, the same thing with the knife. So we'll just continue on with this. And this knife is in very bad shape. It is an older knife. The thickness of the blade has shortened in its life, so the thicker the steel is on the back of the knife, whereas you know when you get a brand new knife, it's very thin on this edge. So this knife is very worn out, and we're going to try to take it to the point that we can get an edge on it, to the point that we always like to say that it shaves hair. And I'll demonstrate that when we get through with the lesson of the sharpening. Again, this is kind of an old school way of doing it. It's a little slower than more of an electric type sharpening device. And believe me, there are plenty of good sharpening devices. We just so happen to prefer this. This is kind of what we learned in the beginning of our career. So it's kind of one of those that just, once you learn something, you stick with what you know. But there are a lot of good devices out there to sharpen a knife with. We'll continue this, and what I'm doing is recreating a new bevel on the knife. As much as I would like to be able to show you exactly what that bevel looks like, a phone, as good as the footage is on a phone, it's just not quite close enough to show that. So what we'll do is we'll take this, and then we're going to wipe off the grit that was taken up from the rock. And then we're going to go to our, I'm sorry, we started on the wrong stone. This is the stone I wanted.
Yeah, you can really hear the difference even, can't you?
Sorry, I'm getting old and blind.
So that,
now we're really grinding it down. You can probably hear the difference in the stone, so excuse me for my mistake. And sometimes when a knife starts fading in the use of the day, you can kind of come back to a stone and not go through the same procedure, but maybe start or just kind of go over the fine stone and bring the knife back to life, at least twice to finish the day. Most people say, well, how long will the knife sharpening last? Well, that all depends on the person using it. Also depends on how the person is cutting with it. Cutting boards in a butcher shop are designed not to dull a knife as bad as other things. Glass top, ceramic top cutting boards are nothing but an edge killer. They will ruin an edge of a knife in one cut. So if you are buying a cutting board for your kitchen or your garage for your deer processing or whatever a person may be needing a sharp knife for, it's always good to buy cutting boards that have some softness to them, such as everybody's seen the white plastic type boards and the wood boards. You can always take care of sanitizing those boards. We recommend a cap full of bleach per gallon of water. It's a very good sanitizer to, once you've washed it with the detergent, sanitize it with the bleach mixture, and then it'd be ready to store. And then when you go to bring that out again, we recommend that you wash it with a good antibacterial soap and re-bleach it before use. Wipe it clean with a clean cloth. Now we're back to the medium stone that we started with originally, that we shouldn't have started with. But
and I'm not sure if you can hear that, but I can certainly hear it. The sound difference of this is taking off less steel. That's interesting. Excuse me. You're gonna have to get a new one. Your stone's getting kind of low there, isn't it?
It is. I have a brand new one. That's what I was talking about. Now we're going to the fine stone. As you can see, it's a different color, and it's hardly any sound at all.
Oh yeah.
And that will take off the edge that has rolled over. Again, like we're going to go back to the bench grinder. If you've ever tried to sharpen a piece of steel on a bench grinder, you get the edge that rolls over, that is very rough. And so this is trying to take as much of that rolled edge off as possible.
So these, a sharpener like this, where are these available to buy, do you know?
A good place, company called Walton's. They're out of Wichita, Kansas. We call it Walton's Inc. Incorporated. Public can buy from it, and they also sell to a lot of, they supply a lot of things for butcher plants. Okay. And they're online. And again, it's Walton's Inc. This stone, as you can tell, this stone is old, and you can replace all of these blades. You see the screws.
Yeah.
And you can buy replacement blades. They're probably about $25 a piece, maybe a little bit more. I haven't bought a stone in quite some time, but I think this stone now is probably somewhere between $150 and $200.
I saw one on Amazon too.
Yeah, I'm sure Amazon has them. And you know, sometimes in these videos it's a little deceiving, but this stone, this is a lot bigger than I've seen other like three-sided stone setups like this, but this one's probably bigger than most of them I've seen. So it gives you just more distance to travel to get from the start of the blade to the tip, right?
A longer stroke of the knife.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they make nice little sharpening stones that are half this size, but again, they're just shorter strokes. Now, what we do, and this is kind of a secret of the trade, we take our very smooth polished steels, and we'll take an old rock. This was flat, as you can see, and this used to fit in here, and of course they get so thin they break off. And we'll take and rub our steel with them, because they do get a little rust buildup on them, sometimes just overnight. And you always want to keep the bleach water away from your steel. Never bleach your steel, or if you do, be sure and rinse it off very well, because it will rust and pitch your steel. Now what I do is I take this, and as I rub this steel in here, I constantly am twisting this steel, and I'm rubbing it with the stone. And what I'm doing is just cleaning up this edge on this steel. Again, this is I guess everybody has little tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
You might not see a video that tells you to do this. Maybe you have. I don't know exactly how many videos are out there about sharpening a knife. Another thing about a steel that a lot of people don't know, they are magnetized. And sometimes we will remagnetize them, because everybody will say, oh, it's not possible for it to be that thin. But when you get a knife really, really sharp, it can be sharpened even more, because being magnetized, it will pull those edges up in a straighter point. So we'll take and wipe this off. And don't know if I got anything light enough. And we're talking about a magnet to lift a car, but as you can see, it'll lift that screw. And that's what I'm talking about, being magnetized. Now we'll take the knife, we worked on here. Get it nice and clean, and now we have a nice clean steel. Two ways to steel a knife. Basically, if you'll see right in the palm of my hand, I will hold a knife like this, and a lot of times you'll see people that'll steel a knife this way. Please note the angle of the bevel. I'm trying to follow the bevel that I just created on the knife. See, it's not a flat like this, it's a bevel, and you're just dragging it across that steel. If you don't like pulling a knife to your hand, which if you're not accustomed to this, I recommend you turn your knife over and go away from yourself. Just don't reach back and catch yourself. And do it this way. Again, if you'll note in the video, if you can see how I hold the knife off the steel, the back edge of the knife, off the steel. And you can feel that blade getting straighter and straighter, because you can't just do it with one swipe. It's multiple swipes. Now, if you've ever been to a butcher shop where they actually are cutting meat and you see someone with a steel tied to a clip to a belt, and they hit that steel, meaning that they use that steel multiple times inside of a 2 or 3 minute period, you'll see it hang to their side. They're cutting their meat, whatever they're doing, cutting steaks, taking off the bone. They reach over and grab this. What they're doing is they're straightening their knife up. It's not necessarily re-sharpening it, it's just a straightening of the blade. So now we're gonna pull our sleeve up. And this is the telltale test. And I don't recommend you do this, but this is what we do, and see if that sharpens and shaves the hair on your arm. So that one's razor sharp, ready to go.
Yeah.
On that point. And again, I'm going to sit here and keep it straight like that. And that knife is now sharp and ready to be used.
Excellent. That thing's seen some hours, hasn't it?
It's been around for a while.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate it very much. This is a good video I can go back to and refer to, and then hopefully, it can help other people out too. So,
always be caution when you're using a knife. Handle it with care. Sometimes handing a knife to another person is always a difficult thing. We recommend that you have the knife and put the blade back like this, sharp up. And that way when the person grabs the knife, if they're not paying attention, Jeff, you take the knife from me and they pull it away from you. It keeps you from getting
I didn't
trapped.
get that on video, but yeah, I see what you're saying. So the blade's up.
Hand the handle to the person. And then
that way
if you grab and not paying attention, pull it out of my hand.
Right.
That way you don't get it.
Yep.
Always be extremely cautious to everybody that sharpens a knife. They are a knife, they will catch it.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, after getting that knife lesson there from Robert at Country Home Meats, I tell you, I can't say enough good about those guys up there. They truly are professionals and do an awesome job. And anyways, I hung out with them for a little bit longer. I checked on the steer one last time. It was in halves and already in the freezer before I left. And so what happens now, that thing will hang for like 10 days. And then in the meantime, in those 10 days, I'll talk to either Robert or Jesse up there, and we'll do a cut sheet. And I may do a video in the meantime, kind of talking about that. So when you buy a whole half or quarter beef, most of the time you're calling in your own order, however you want it cut, to the processor. And I'll be honest, it can be very intimidating, or just if you're even me. I mean, I was born and raised on a farm my entire life, and even I was very ignorant to it when I first started raising my own beef, about the different cuts and about just some when you just sit and think about it, it's kind of common sense stuff. But if you've never done it before, You know, there's some things to think about when you make your order. So if you can hear some jingling here, I apologize. We've got a pup here, probably smelling a trailer here. Anyway, after I left there, I stopped by. I drove right by Chief's where she works, and well, it's about lunchtime, so we stopped and had lunch, and then I ran another errand while I had the trailer hooked up, and I needed some cattle panels for a future project. And you know, hauling cattle panels on a truck, I've seen people do it where they bow them up between the cab and the tailgate, and maybe one or two that way might work, but man, they kind of flop all over, and I just don't know about that. So a lot of times when I have a trailer hooked up and I know I'm going to need these panels in the future, it's just so much easier. They fit exactly from this back gate to the front up there is 16 feet exactly. So they just fit perfect. So, you know, kind of, you know, make the use of your time. And I was driving right by the Atwoods and had the trailer, and so it works out. But anyway, I got home, and this time usually I'll spray out the trailer. But this time I actually hooked the pressure sprayer up and got this thing looking pretty good. The sidewalls, that brown, that's just rust. But I've got it sprayed out pretty well. Even the wood on the floor there. But it just needed a good cleaning. It hadn't been, like I said, I usually spray it out, but not with a pressure sprayer. And that pressure sprayer just makes all the difference. And so I've got this thing good and clean, because you never know. We've actually moved kid number 2 to college in this exact trailer. And so I've also moved a friend twice with this trailer, and you can fit some stuff in these trailers. And you know, the sidewalls and it's covered, and pretty darn nice for moving. But anyway, multi-use. So anyway, I just want to keep it clean just in case. You never know when somebody needs help moving, or we got to move somebody to college or home from college or whatever. So anyway, got this cleaned out. I'm going to get it backed in over there where I keep it, behind the barn, and get to going on some other projects. I took all day off of work. I typically do that when I take something to the butcher, just kind of make a little bit of a day of it, and get caught up on stuff in the afternoons when I'm back. And so the sun came out and it's hot again. So anyway, I'm going to try to figure out what else I can do this afternoon, try to get a few things done, but I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you learned a little something. Give a shout out on the comments to Robert. Let him know you appreciate the little tutorial on knife sharpening. And if you are in Central Oklahoma or in Oklahoma or wherever, and you need a good butcher, honest and good people, and will do you right, give them a call. Country Home Meats in Edmond, Oklahoma, and they're on the internet and all that stuff. You can look their number up. So anyways, till the next video, you guys take care, and we'll see you then.